Welcome back to the CartoonSmart.com video tutorial podcast, and it's a beautiful day here in sunny Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm joined by my co-host Cleavon, who is Skyping in from Florida. No, I'm not. I'm right next to you over here. Whoa, holy cow, you are. My goodness, that scared me. How'd you get... never mind. So anyway, what we're going to do is look into optionals today. And that's something that many, I think, Swift programmers get a little confused about early on. Would you agree with that, Cleavon? Did you get into some early headaches with the programming language? Yeah, I did actually. And well, to begin with, I don't even like the term optional. I signed up for Columbia House about I'd say 20 years ago, and I thought that was completely optional. We're still working things out in court right now, but I owe them about $300,000. That's terrible. Okay, all right. Well, let's just begin over here. So I'm just using a iOS playground file, and let's make our first optional variable. So we're going to just type var, and you know what? We'll use your example over there, Columbia House. Contract, and this we could go ahead and say that this is a string over here, but when we put in the question mark right afterwards like that, it immediately makes it an optional variable, and it's going to set the value to that of that to nil. So if we were to come over here and write something like let's just put in here some other var, let's say this is a string, equals Columbia House contract. Let's see what would happen. Okay, and let's be sure that we get this open over here. All right, you can see that it says the value of optional type string not unwrapped. Did you mean to use the exclamation mark? By the way, I can tell that I don't think that's going to go too well as soon as you do that, because this feels a lot like the situations I get into in court with them. But go ahead and do it. Throw those exclamation marks around. All right, so let's just hit return on that. And then let's see another error. There we go. All right, so what's happened here is basically I've tried to make some other variable forcibly equal an optional, okay? And Swift does not like that. So there would be another way to do this. What we could do is say if let, and then come over here. So basically we're kind of now phrasing this like, well, if you can make this variable equal to that value right there, then we'll just go ahead and proceed inside of this block. So we can put in here print success. Is that going to print out to your printer? You've done that before. You know that that's not the case. It does not print out to the printer. I think it's still funny though. And then we're going to put over here failed. So now what we should see is that, yep, here we go. It's failed over here. It was not able to take the value of this and put it into the value of that. So what do you think, Cleavon? That's not that hard to figure out, right? Yeah, yeah. I guess you're kind of like managing the expectations of the compiler to. I'm just trying to rattle off some other mumbo jumbo over here. I don't really get why you'd ever do it, you know. Yeah, I can kind of understand that. I mean, well, let me just do another little thing. So here, so you might use this as part of an if statement. So basically, what if some part of your program here was kind of hinging on this having a value to it? Okay, perhaps maybe we were waiting for somebody to fill in a value with a text box or something like that, and until that happened, we weren't going to do anything else. So you could say if Columbia House contract equals nil, which means doesn't have a value, that would be sweet. I would not owe them the amount of money that I do. By the way, a prolonged court battle with Columbia House is not a good idea. I mean, we've been at this for decades. Okay, so you would put in here Columbia House contract if that equals nil, or you could say if that does not equal nil, print, maybe move on to next court battle. Yeah, that's pretty much what's going to happen. The judge said that everybody else pretty much has to get in line behind Columbia House, and the American judicial system understands that you can only handle so many court cases against you. So anyway, do you well, how would I make this not nil then? In that case, well, what you could do is you could just at the top of this start to give it a value, right? So if we just wanted to test out kind of the opposite of what we've been doing over here, then we'll say Columbia House contract equals, Cleavon has to pay after the... Probably some people watching this have no idea what Columbia House is. Has to pay after the 1 cent CDs mailed to him. Yeah, that is actually, you're kind of dating both of us right here. That nobody probably does know what that is anymore. In the 80s or so, I got something in the mail that said, I can get all these CDs for 1 penny, and I was like, yeah, obviously I'm going to do that, Well, what I didn't read was that after those 8 CDs got mailed to me, Cat Stevens' greatest hits, Steve Winwood, stuff like that. Then they started wanting the real money to come in, and let me tell you, those CDs were not cheap after that point. So anyway, yeah, I can see that things have definitely changed over here. This says success, or some other VAR was able to get printed out. Maybe what we could do is just kind of prove that that's happening. So look at that. Yep, success, and that would be success on if the court case went against me, though, because then it's saying Cleveland has to pay after the 1 cent. And I think I've piled, just by not doing it, I've piled up about, I'd say, 800 or 900 CDs that I'd have to pay on. That would be a lot of money. And then down here it says move on to next court battle. Yeah, that's going to happen. So, but aside from all your legal troubles with Columbia House and whoever else is suing you next, do you feel like you kind of understand it? Yeah, I mean, it's sort of again, it's about managing the expectations. It's like what Patrick Swayze says in the movie Roadhouse. The ones who go looking for trouble aren't much trouble for someone expecting it, and that, I guess, is kind of the whole point of the optionals. I guess so. Yeah, I mean, that's one way. All right, there you go. A little Roadhouse logic here. Oh, and I almost forgot one thing. You can actually even do this with a while statement too. So you could put while this does not equal nil. Oh my gosh, that looks like the amount of money that they're trying to say that I owe them. That is terrible. Get rid of that. I don't want to see that anymore. Okay, all right. Well, while statements never go well in these playground files. But anyway, I feel like we did it. I feel like we taught the masses out there a little bit about optionals. Hey, well, yeah, that we did. Yeah, it takes teamwork to make the dream work, doesn't it? And I feel like we've done that here today. Is there anything on your website that you would like to plug? Well, it's funny that you would ask that, because there's plenty. We have all sorts of starter kits for iOS and tvOS. And what is a starter kit? That would actually be a completely polished Xcode project where you really just get to put in your artwork and not worry about the code. You get to just fill in simple properties in a property list, and essentially that fuels all the data for the game engine, and you can do all sorts of cool stuff, and again, without ever writing a single line of code. That sounds absolutely fantastic to me. Could it, for example, if I were to put in the right properties, could it get a truck stuck from maybe being in some sort of like muddy sinkhole? No, I mean, I mean, we're talking in the digital world here. Not, it just can't do anything. Oh, okay. Well, that's a lot less interesting to me then. I mean, there's not some sort of winch or something like that I could connect up to the laptop and it would kind of pull in to kind of winch something out of a pit or anything like that. No, not like a USB enabled winch or something like that. No, you're just messing around now. All right, so let's close this down, and yes, be sure to check out the CartoonSmart.com for all your digital needs.